A letter pulling no punches. The UN confronting its worst regular budget liquidity crisis in recent years, and an appeal from the UN chief for concerted action to resolve it.
The organization runs the risk of depleting its liquidity reserves by the end of the month and defaulting on payments to staff and vendors. Stressing the charter obligations of member states, the Secretary General thanked the member states who have paid their regular budget assessment in full, and urged, which is now up to 129, and urged those who have not paid to do so urgently and in full. This is the only way to avoid a default that could risk disrupting operations globally.
According to Dujarric, the United Nations Secretariat had put in place multiple measures since the beginning of the year to align expenditures with cash flows, including adjusting hiring and other expenses based on expected cash availability. He said that had those measures not been put in place, that the organization would have been unable to support the opening of the General Assembly debate and other meetings during the annual high-level week in September. But they are now warning that those cost-cutting measures are no longer good enough.
The Secretariat could face a default on salaries and payment for goods and services by the end of November unless more member states pay their budget dues in full.
The Secretary General's letter says they assessed member states for an amount of $2.8 billion in January, and to date only $1.9 billion had been received.
The Secretary General's message to all countries is that they have an obligation under the Charter to pay their dues to the United Nations, and all should do it.
The United States, which is by far the largest contributor to the UN budget at around 22%, is among 64 countries that have yet to pay.
We'll see what happens. We're doing just fine.
Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.